Well, so I mean, all right. So obviously, I'm glad we had this talk because I did the research. I heard you talking. I got a little more. The movie's more important than I gave it credit for, just because I just was looking at it under a different lens. So I appreciate that. So here we are. What do we do about this? The real world problem, right? Now we zoom out. We got this movie. We got this fake movie of a movie that you talked about. The movie is obviously fake. It's a movie, but But all right. So what's not fake is its allegory to us society. I think that's beyond deniable. How do we overcome political, ideology and just tribalism and just confirmation bias and social media and the elites? Because it is a bipartisan problem. It's no matter what the issue is. I think side A cannot see side B's viewpoint, and side B can. Now, maybe I'm a little bit overly pessimistic. I think with the kind of cable news and the cable large, these massive multimedia corporations, I think they're shrinking. I don't know the data, but I feel like the internet and podcasting, this kind of stuff, and the open, more decentralized information, I think that's all a really good thing. So I have a glimmer of hope there. And I tell my family and friends, like, turn off the news. Find just unbiased. Find your favorite podcast of person, and challenge what they're saying. Do some, but even the algorithms of YouTube and Facebook and Twitter are going to confirm whatever you're looking at. So, and I had a gentleman on my last podcast was, he's really trying to, he calls it a massive transformative purpose for humanity, where, and it really got me thinking where the root of the problem is, obviously we just laid out a lot of the root of the problem, but then you just, everything we do is in front of a screen. It's consuming digital content, which is curated by very powerful companies, Google, Apple, Facebook, and it's curated in a way to get you to do more things that they want you to do, regardless of the truth or anything. So, he's got different ideas about, when you see X, it shows it, some of the algorithms can be tweaked to show you Y as a counterpoint, just to as opposed to just show you more of X, Y, because you're going to click more, and it's going to be confirmation bias, echo chambers. So I got some hope there, but I guess, what is your view? How do we, as a species, as a society? I think mostly in the U.S. because that's all I know, but just globally, even just keep it to the U.S. I feel like we're so divided here, and this is what we probably know the best. How do we change? How do we? I think conversations like this are a start, but how do? Are you hopeful? Start there.
Am I hopeful? Uh-oh. I really am not. To be honest, I really am. I'm not very hopeful. But the way that to react, what the film should make you do, and the way that react to start to fix this thing is you realize, try to find yourself in the film. Right? Who are you in the film, and see how are you being criticized, and how could you change to avoid that criticism, right? And so if you if you realize, ask yourself, are you being conned? Are you being lied to by authorities? And if so, what way? Are they telling you that there is no problem, or are they telling you that they have a fix to the problem that's not actually really going to be a fix to the problem, right? Is business as usual and that kind of stuff, is not really a fix, right? Are you ignoring scientists? Who and thinking that you can know better than them, even though you have no expertise or whatever, right? You can look at the movie and try to find yourself in it and say, what do I need to do to avoid being that tragic character, right? It is, say, even when you're talking about decentralizing, information and that kind of stuff, but even that can be dangerous, because if you can get to the wrong information very easily whenever information is not decentralized, right? You've got to break out of your bubble. Right. And this is part of what it sounds like your friend is talking about, right? Is algorithms that present you with counterpoints and that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. But the problem is that it is the reason I'm not so hopeful is because it's this grandiose change. There's nothing that individually you or I or anybody else listening to this more than likely can really do about any of it, because it's got to be a systematic change worldwide, right? In the way that we live our lives, in the way that we consume, et cetera. If you're talking about how do we become less biased and that kind of stuff, it's got to be a systematic change, right? Because as long as capitalism is the driving force behind how people consume their news, whether it's cable news or podcasts or whatever, we're going to get trapped in these bubbles because people will realize that the way that you generate money is by getting likes and watches and views and listening. And the way that you get that is you tell people what they want to hear. Exactly. So if they want to deny it, well, then you tell them that it's false, right? And so until there's some kind of decoupling of capitalism from, news and that kind of stuff.
That's the key. Yeah.
Right. Like you could try to decouple yourself, but boy, it's going to be really hard.
And it takes so many brain cycles, right? I mean, I love this. I love engaging with these kind of conversations. I do this everywhere. In fact, I started this conversation because it's almost like being at parties with friends. Like they don't want, like some people just want to relax. I'm like, no, but what about, like, so man, I need another outlet. So things like this, like I find folks like you and I, like that we're geeks and we enjoy this kind of stuff. But the average person does not have that kind of time. They're working a 9-to-5 job. They got 2 or 3 kids. They're exhausted. They're barely trying to make ends meet. They get home after whatever, all they want to do is have a drink, have a decent meal, and then sit on the couch. They put on the TV. Boom, hits them in the face. Their phone, boom, hits them in the face. Yeah, I told you that Trump guy sucks. Yeah, I told you that Biden guy is is a walking corpse. Whatever they believe, it's just going to be boom, 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 and it's just. So I'm not. This is a doom and gloom podcast. I should name it, but yeah, I think we have. I don't know how we come out of it because you're right. It does. I like the decentralized idea and giving more, less centralized power and stuff. But to your point, this massive change is going to take a massive, organized, centralized thing, right? To do it the right way. You can have a bunch of people, grassroots thing, like, hey, I got $20. What do you got? It's like that's not gonna. So it's.
But this is why I think that it's like the criticisms of the movie as not subtle. And so so it's not good art or whatever, are just beside the point. Maybe that makes it bad art. No sense, yeah. I don't care. We need to be bludgeoned. We need to be smacked across the face.
Well, if you think about the conversations they started. I mean, you could take a step back and say, well, great. I mean, if I was, I don't know, maybe there's some detail missing, but if I created that piece of art, quote unquote, and I got the entire world talking about it, okay, well, good. Hate it, love it, but you're talking, right? So that's.
Right. And that's why I like your description of it as an important movie, right? And I think that's what the discussion should be, is about how important is this movie? Not is it good art? Does it succeed as satire? That kind of stuff, right? That's why in my Psychology Today article where I argued that if it's satire, it fails because it's not funny, right? In that article I write, and yet you should definitely watch it. Everyone should watch this film. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter whether it's funny or not, because it is important, like you said, right? Because it brings up exactly the issues that we've been talking about that everyone needs to wrestle with. Yeah.
It's. Oh man, it's supposed to have an uplifting start to my weekend here.
Sorry. Yeah. And that's the thing is that's one of the things I actually think. I mean, in terms of art, I actually think it makes it good. It's unique in that there is not a happy ending. To this, right? Like if this was a regular popcorn movie, one of the reviews said that people are criticizing it because it's too blunt and dire and that kind of stuff, right? And they're like, oh, I agree that climate change is real and stuff, but you should approach the topic differently. And they're like, oh, apparently, like for these people, it's okay to have a movie about climate change, but you have to have one that placates your audience and makes them feel okay about it, right? And the answer is like, we shouldn't feel okay about it.